Hey, Free was good. Sincere born Asiatic. The wordsmith. Rafael Arroyo. It's been a minute. Waju. Everybody got to do the each one, teach one, and hit the like button. And share this on your pages so we can get the What Did I Miss crew up in here before we get into our topic. How much is used by the original man versus how much the original man is used. Everybody that's coming in, do the each one, teach one, and hit the like button. Share this on your Facebook and Twitter, Instagram, so we can get all our people up in here. Don Bishop. Where you at, Don Bishop? I might be around your way a little bit later. The hardest working man in Jamaica, Queens over here.
It's 1 o'clock.
Mm-mm-mm. to fly phrase from the Providence Plantations. Like I say, we gotta just go ahead and get started without we gotta let our brothers and sisters just have to rewind. But it's really kind of starting off from where we left off last time, about 6 and 7. Why, as you say, God of the universe is the original man, what and how he is creating himself, being his best. When the original man is used, he becomes that tool and a slave. If this was The Price is Right, Wise you would be headed to the Showdown Showcase right now. Because that's precisely how this is related to 6 and 7. Because the equality degree, right, tells us that, the colored man uses the original man as a tool and also a slave through miseducation. You see what I'm saying? So what that means is that when you start, whatever you're doing, if you don't have the knowledge, you're not the foundation of what you're doing, right? Not saying that you can't get ideas from somebody else, but you analyze that idea for yourself to see if it's right or wrong before you just jump off the bridge because everybody else jumped off the bridge. Universal 7. Universal 7 is these Roman numerals now. Versus the God degree that says how much is used by the original man. So when you look throughout the degrees, you see different degrees where it says they use Jesus' name to shield their dirty religion, which is Christianity. They use the original man. Why do we let a half original man like Columbus discover the poor part of the planet Earth? It's not uniquely stated in that degree, but when we go through the science of it, we know that he used the original man. When Yakub made the devil, he made it from the original people. He used the original man. And he used the original man in a particular way. He used them by causing separation. By coming in the midst of the original man, right? And exploiting separation between the black and the brown in that particular case. He used the original man. Now, how much is used by the original man in reality? That's a real question. It's not rhetorical. I'm not asking that to myself. See, because this is the difference between being in the realm of six and being in the realm of seven. Because when you're in the realm of seven, the original man is the ultimate cause of all things that's happening. Or are you being manipulated by some other individuals? Are you making decisions and having conversations, taking actions based on propaganda or actual fact? Because when we look at the culture degree, how did they start causing trouble amongst the original people? They used them against each other with propaganda, telling lies, causing the original people to fight and kill one another. So how much is used by the original man? I'm talking about in all these situations, like, yeah, we going through the lessons, but in particular, I'm speaking them in a way right now that we can see these are situations that happen every day in life. Where individuals come in and manipulate a situation. Manipulate a situation where they make the worst part seem like the best part, and the best part seem like the worst part, which is why they can come in and use propaganda. So how are they able to do that, right? And then how much is used by the original man? We had a couple of my heavy hitters up in here today. What? Like I said, that's not a rhetorical question. You getting from the outside that may or may not be true. Dennis Freeman said not enough. Mr. 120. Freedom of Allah said the original man is used the most, given that 85%, given that 85% of the population, and within that large percentage of 85%, 4,400,000,000 is huge. It's exponential blood sucking. See, on that level, there's a lot of is that is a known thing. So this is one of the reasons why we see, right, uh, all these different stores that's in our community, right, that's owned by other people. The community as itself is being used for other people's survival. How much of that land are we using ourselves? Mr. G1? How much of that, this is what I'm saying, this is something to think about in terms of how we moving and what we seeing. Like I was speaking to somebody about a situation in New York City, right? Where inside most of New York City, it wasn't that many malls. But now we got all these big malls, right? That's coming in with all the chain stores. So when you go in that chain store and you spend your money, right? As opposed to before when New York was a lot of mom and pop stores. A lot of stores you would go to, you know, it's Santinelli and Santinelli. You know what I'm saying? This, whatever the name in Sons. But if those people is from right around here, right? Then that money eventually gets reinvested right around here. But when you got these big chain stores who their headquarters is elsewhere, when they get that money, it's taken out. And it goes to whoever else, somebody else is making themselves rich from the labor of the people in that community. So in terms of the actual plans, right, that even, we hear a lot of people talk about whether we're going to do things politically, SW, things that we're going to do politically or things we're going to do economically, right? That's one of the bases right there that you got to go into. How much is used by the original man, right? How much are you making and owning? See, another situation, right, where, you seen that in, for instance, in a lot of these inner cities, like I'm from New York, other cities got the same thing, where when original people first started migrating to these cities, right, it was all colored people. And when they was concerned that the original man might start using too much of that location, they went and built other cities, the suburbs, the exurbs. So like I was saying, if you deal with education, you guys came up in here. When you deal with education, at least in New York, right, that's paid by property taxes. Darkim Salam, 793rd. I tried to hold it off for y'all, but y'all was slow gassing. But when you deal with those property taxes, that's who owns the land. Who's using the land for their survival and how they're using it. See, you guys said the original man uses his wisdom and understanding to build a large righteous nation, right? But what that means, when you say the wisdom and understanding, that means that you putting the knowledge into activation. See, like right now we got election time, right? So this is, people looking at politics and how politics could bring about a change for the better in our community, right? But like I said, your vote is the smallest part of the political process. See, because what is the law? What is the law here for? Anyone? What is the law here for? Why do we have the police? Why do we have all these laws? Everybody that came in, do the each one teach one and hit the like button. Share this on your other pages. Anyone? Anyone? Bueller? Why do they have laws in America? Why do they have the law? You know, the entire justice system. Don Bishop said the law is here to enforce rules that are made by the ones who rule, to keep that sword above, to keep the sword above their heads, to control, govern us, allegedly. See, all those things, but see, it's to control us from damaging private property. The law is here to protect private property. What happens if you don't have any private property? L7, to keep us apart from social equality, indeed. But what happens if you don't have any private property? Smell Goods came in. Smell Goods, when are you gonna post? You gotta put the P phone. You don't have a picture of it that you could put on Instagram or something. I gotta see this stuff. I just want to see what the bottle looks like. Does anyone know what happens when you don't have any private property? Bingo, Don Bishop. If you don't have any private property, then you are just a commodity, something that can be bought and sold like stock. If you don't have any property, then you become the private property. You're the one that's being used. Free said no protection, exactly. You don't pay taxes, non-citizen. This is how you looked at. See, sometimes, we gotta look, not to say that no changes have been made, but we gotta look at when all these laws was drawn up, because that still got something to do with it. Yeah, you got amendments that occurred since then. But originally, in order to vote, you had to be a white male property owner. See, that's one part that's left out. Is that even the colored man, one of the reasons they came here is because they was private property over there as peasants and serfs. And they came here to be able to own private property. To be able to own the benefits, the fruit of their labor. See, when you don't own the land that you using, right? And you don't even own the tools that you're using, then you just private property. So just, from the strength of when we saying, you building up all these other powers, but you still gotta have a base to do that from. See, right now, we got a community that exists of how we feel about each other, really. That's what it consists of. But where's the place that they got to come in order to deal with you? See, this is one of the reasons for the Homestead Act. One of the reasons for the Homestead Act was to increase the amount of white males that could vote. The same way right now, uh, you see a lot of the Democratic Party, right, is trying to bring a lot of individuals over here now and give them a lot of rights, like voting, because whoever bestows them with the most benefit is who they're going to be holding to, is who they're going to be beholden to when it's time to go in the voting booth. See, this is why you had the whole, the conflict. Part of the conflict that you're dealing with the Civil War that led up to Emancipation Proclamation and all these things, right? Part of that was that there was a lot of new states coming into the Union. And every time a state was coming in, whose useful land is this going to be? Is this going to be a slave state or a free state? Because, see, just that alone is going to determine how much power original people could possibly have. What you got here, smells good? It's clear fragrance bottles. Yeah, there's another example right here, Don Bishop. When you look at the 13th Amendment, and it tells you that slavery is abolished unless, see, unless means it's not totally abolished. See, because what our lessons tell us, man, is that if that's the case, then it's regardless of whom or what. So, see, that's something that has to be a part of the plans. See, that's something like when we talk about, integration and a lot of the ill effects that came from it. A lot of it came because we went from being property owners back to being private property. Because, the individuals at that time was told that it was more gold for their labor in the north or, whatever big city that they was migrating to in the west, in the Midwest, whatever, that it was more gold for their labor there than it was in their property that they owned. But look at the loss of power that was manifested. Look at the loss of power that was manifested, meaning those individuals, some of them couldn't read and write. But they was able to bring about changes, you know what I'm saying? Some good, some not so good, but they was able to bring about changes that we enjoy right now. See, these are the type of things. Does anybody know the difference between money and capital? Don Bishop got a good point here. The Emancipation Proclamation was just a transfer of power from individuals to the state of slave ownership. 1865 didn't free anybody, it just changed the wording as to who or what could own slaves. Anyone? The difference between money and capital. Capital can be money, but capital is not only physical money. Physical money is just as one part of capitalism. I can't tell you what percent. The wordsmith say capital is something you can capitalize off of. While as you said, money, everyone has money, but capital is the worth of that said object. See, capital is anything you can make money off of. So yeah, if the money is something that, right, capital can create money. Money is just the mark of capital. That was a good definition right there, Free. See, capital is the when a person goes to work at a factory, right? The factory is capital because you can make money off of that. So by the same token, if you got somebody like Smell Goods, right? That he got his own business. Now, what we call in city science, what we call our trap money, that's capital. That's not just money. You ain't supposed to spend that. You ain't supposed to spend that on sneakers. That's not money. You're not supposed to spend that. You use that to make money. But see, once you spend all your money like that, now you become a what? A slave to the money. Instead of you making the money is making you. Genus Germ said capital is hard assets that are used in production of goods or services. Money is only used as currency in exchange for goods or services. You work in the financial field, Genus Germ? Capital usually appreciates over time. Money is inflationary. So what he's saying there is like a quarter, for all of us when we was kids, a quarter is not worth now what a quarter was. When you first got a quarter to go to the store. Genus Germ said I was. So you studying that science right now? See, this is what I'm saying. If we don't, everything is financial the way the world is today, of course. Because, the world, even the way they describe the world, right? The world is often described in economic terms. is socialism versus socialism versus capitalism. This is the whole battle that that I grew up with. See, and a lot of the decisions that's made is based upon having to make those two systems work. All right, we see Wordsmith wants to take us down a rabbit hole right now. But I'm saying just in terms of looking at that, right? Not just that, but looking at the world in terms of how much the original man is using versus how much the original man is being used. See, when you got a company, right? You got companies in America that's been here for 150 years. And you might have thousands and thousands of people, right, that came and went. They unknown. Chuck the Great. Those individuals that was unknown, right? Those was people that was used by the 10% to make themselves rich. It's their labor that was used. So in everything that you engaging in, right? Do you pay attention to that? How much of this are you using? So even in terms of when they talk about how much money we spent on different things, right? See, that's a difference. Like when you have a person and they like, okay, they go and they might work at a job, right? But then they save their money and they use it as capital. That's different from a person that's just going there and getting their money to exchange for goods and services, like the brother Genus Germ said. See, that's what other individuals came to America with the idea, already knowing that that's what they do. That's what you're supposed to do, West Coast wise. But if the entire time, right, you've been here, you've been the capital. You've been the private property. As W said, invest in yourself because your own self, right, is your first capital and your best capital. Your own self, your own mind, or your very ideas that you come up with, that's capital too. That's private property that's protected. It's called intellectual property. So right now, right, we see that that's another place where how much is used by the original man versus how much the original man is used. Don Bishop said 95% of the world money is digital. Physical money or paper money is slowly being phased out. I mean, that's a whole topic right there. Halftime. Because all of these are the different exchanges. These are the different exchanges, La Illuminati. These are the different exchanges that we speak about when we say 120, right? Is the story of who's God, who's the devil, and what happened when they mixed together. And these interactions ever since the trader arrived. See, when the trader arrived, he wanted to get capital, and brothers exchanged capital for money. Mr. Spock, brothers exchanged capital for money. See, without understanding that right there, how much is used by the original man and how much is the original man being used? See, if you don't understand the entire transaction that's happening and what's really happening, right? Then, like I said, you doing what you doing based on another external idea and not using your best capital. See, this is misunderstanding, because see, capital accumulates. So you see businesses merging all the time. They merge their capital. Oh, you do this business right here? Yeah, we do this business. Yeah, if we come together, you know what I'm saying, our capital can increase how much money we can make. How many times you see people do that with their check? When they only in the game to make money, how many people you see do that? And this is one of the reasons why, even though there won't be any peace amongst the colored man either, with the other colored man, I'm saying, they can still come together on some things because they understand this transaction that they making here. They understand that they came to increase their capital. SW said that's how the market works. Malik Lowe, Genius Germ said if a business has excess money, they can purchase capital as an investment vehicle. And uh, you know, you got particular knowledge of this. You saying you studying this, right? Tell us about the difference, how that capital is treated as opposed to how people is treated. How that capital is treated as opposed to how your paycheck is treated. See, now we getting into the nitty gritty of some of the things that the 10% do. What's the difference between how that capital is treated and how your paycheck is treated? Even though, like you're saying, that capital is excess money, but just in terms of how they use it. Gina Stern said, human capital is abundant. Usually companies protect their other assets. Yeah, the human capital is abundant because, you know, there's always, at least for the time being, this is one of the reasons why they're having conflict now and a lot of people is facing towards socialism is because they running out of people who don't know who the trader is. See, here in the wilderness of North America, we know who the trader is, but we don't really study and learn, what we supposed to do. So they'll tell you right now, right, when they want to bring in immigrants, they'll say, well, we bringing them in to do jobs that black people won't do. because you want to bring in people who don't understand yet that they're not going to receive more gold. See, we the people that already know that it ain't no pot at the end of the rainbow. Because you know what I say. They say, they need people to come in and do farm work because black people won't do farm work no more. Yeah, you never paid us. You never paid us. You think we blind? You think we don't see what's going on here? But see, once you see what's going on, now you know more good to the trader. So he got to bring in another population of people. See, before, in the 1600s and the 1500s and the 1700s, right? When they ran out of people here, then they go someplace else. But like I said, how much is used by the original man versus how much the original man is used. So now that they had what's called an age of exploration. Well, now they know about 24,896 miles. See, before they didn't know about 24,896 miles. In 1492, before Columbus sailed the ocean blue, they didn't know about the Atlantic Ocean. All of these different places, the Captain Cooks, the Henry Hudsons, all of these individuals went around increasing how much was used by the colored man. But somebody still didn't answer what's the difference between how capital, see, is I think this is the word, Genius Germ. How is capital treated different from income? Bob Frey said, I want to cop some uncirculated bills just to collect because it's going to be obsolete soon. Yeah, John Harding Hawkins. Black Justice. How is capital treated different from income? Because see, this is one of the differences between the rich and the poor. Gina's Germ said it's the raw resources that are valuable. The rest is just the distribution of resources throughout the market. And see, this is what I'm saying. Having this type of understanding, right? Bang, Genius Germ. Capital gains is taxed at a far lower rate than income. Right, see? Freedom, capital, and retained earnings. Genius Germ said the rich gain income through capital, the poor focus on income. See, this is one of the differences, right? This is one of the differences in how much is used by the original man and how much the original man is used. Mr. Spock said capital is necessity, income is luxury. Al-Kim Salam said income is used to sustain a lifestyle. Capital is business oriented. So you see one of the ways right here that, we not educated in this kind of stuff. Capital is the worth of invested assets that generate the income. See, we not educated in this right here. And so this is one of the things that we made blind, deaf, and dumb to by the devil when we babies. As opposed to what they teach their babies. And so their babies grow up to use our babies as what? Useful land. See, like I said, this is the difference. And when you're just activating, off of, like SW said, the market. What is there a market for labor for? See, things that it was a market for the labor for that 20 years ago, it's not a market for that no more. Like right now, you could build the best horse buggies in America. This is a good question right here. I'm going to come back to it in a minute. Don Bishop says, so are the gods capitalists or communists? The wordsmith say, can you have capitalism without caste or class systems? There's two good questions. But suppose you make the best horse buggies in America. Right. Capital includes everything from inventory to equipment to staff. See, staff is people. See, like I said, if you're not using the land, you become the land that's used. But what if you made right now the best horse buggies in America? Halftime said, no, you can't make the best horse buggies in America? What do you mean? What if you made the best horse buggies in America? There's no market for it though. At one time, that was a booming business. But there's no market for it now. So your labor in that field is not worth much. There's not very much capital investment in making buggies right now. And so how much income can you make from it? West Coast Wise said you'll only be good for the romantic strolls through parks like in those love movies. Oh, so Halftime said you can't have capitalism without class. We get into that one second, but the guy said, are the guys capitalists or communists? We are neither. We're not capitalists or communists. We Lord of all worlds from highest to lowest. Capitalism is the system that we exist in, so we got to master it. But if we existed in a socialist society, we would have to master that too. But see, we can only master it from having the knowledge of these things and not from the miseducated position that we engage in these systems. That's the problem. We engage in the systems from a miseducated point of view. Would socialism destroy materialism and consumerism? No, not really. That's another. That has to do a lot with the society. Because in a lot of socialist societies, that's what ends up happening. Is that you still have those who's living in luxury. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna have those that abuse their power, and they're gonna continue to live in luxury. So, uh, that's one of the things that has destroyed some socialist societies. That there's still going to be a class of people, right, that control the capital. There's still capital in a socialist society. It's just a matter of who owns the capital. The wordsmith asks, "Can capitalism exist without class?" Um, Class is actually a part of capitalism. That different people have different amounts of money, and so it creates incentive for people to start businesses and do labor. That promise still has to exist. This is one of the things that we learn in the capitalist system is that people in socialist systems, they don't have as much incentive to work. Because see, theoretically, right, I could be a doctor, right, in the communist system, right? I could be a doctor, but I don't have any kids. Capitalism wouldn't work without poor people, indeed. You said America is a mixture of both. It's more capitalist, more you truth. There are aspects of socialism. We get into that next too. But uh, this is one of the things that creates incentive for people to do things. That's one of the things they say that they teach us in the capitalist system is that people in communist systems, they don't really have that much incentive to work, and because you can't really get ahead. Because in the communist system, theoretically, I could be a doctor, but I don't have any kids, and I'm supposed to make less money than a ditch digger who has 5 kids. But you can see how that system is there's some flaws there. Now, in terms of what you just said right there, Asiatic mathematics, from what I've seen, my own observation, neither capitalism nor socialism can really exist on their own. And it's you really see it when the systems get in trouble. Like whenever a capitalist society gets in trouble, they save themselves by employing elements of socialism. And when a socialist country gets in trouble, they save themselves by employing elements of capitalism. So, uh, say like the Great Depression, right? When it was the Great Depression, they saved it with elements of socialism. Or even this year, see those stimulus checks. Capitalist system gets in trouble, they have to employ elements of socialism in order to pull themselves out of it. And then you got, for instance, the situation in China, where they were struggling for decades under the communist system, and then they introduced elements of capitalism. So now they got, the market society, but they still consider themselves a communist country. Now, at the root of it is what Genius Germ said right here. both systems install and protect an aristocracy, which is really, when we go back into the history of it, right? These was two systems that was designed because uh, the monarchs, the system of monarchs, right, came to a point where they couldn't provide for the people because they was living in too much excess. Back in Europe, where 95% of the people was peasants, right? They started living in too much luxury. They started, some of these wars that they was having in Europe is vanity wars. That the king and the pope is they got a problem with the Protestants, so they going to war over that, and it's the people that's going to war and doing the suffering. They spending up all the country's wealth on these wars, and the people continue to suffer. But in that system, the people didn't have any recourse. The monarch was the whole of the law. And so you started getting in situations where uh, the king of France got his head chopped off. Uh, the czar from Russia and his family got shot up. And so the aristocracy had to uh, come up with a system to make the people feel like they had some type of say in what was going on without dealing inequality with them. So the aristocracy is preserving their wealth while appeasing the people. So they introduce these other government systems, democracy, uh, socialism, capitalism, communism. But in reality, you got the same aristocracy still preserving their wealth. It's still the same people. The people who was the dukes and the counts and all the things that I'm just speaking on right now. Is that the aristocracy was happening. I blanked out for a minute there. But that's one of the things that's happening, is that the aristocracy is appeasing the people, right? By the aristocracy is appeasing the people by giving you the Social Security money that they supposed to be taking out, but they're not going to end up paying for it. Their wealth will be preserved, even though you feel like you're not getting taxed without representation. Does anyone know the system Kemet at their highest level of civilization? Was it capitalism or socialism? Does anyone know the system that Kemet or which system that Kemet uses? He Kareem indeed. That's also what produced the Declaration of Independence. That was another thing right there where the people felt like they didn't have any recourse. They felt like it was taxation without representation, like I said. And that was one of the reasons. One of the reasons is that the French and the British had a war concerning the Midwest. Well, It's what's is is back buffer? How come I'm seeing your comments? All right, it looks like a lot of people came back. Am I buffering for everybody?